brother, won't you lay it down to me? See, I know you got problems with her, and that's clear to see. And if you could just bite back a little, might set you free. But with your tender soul, it don't come naturally. No, it don't come naturally. Little big brother, you took me by surprise. Now that I'm older, it's you on my shoulders, and I'll keep you safe tonight. You stand tall by my side when I was just a boy. Oh, not a notion then of the things that you had, no. And only joy, only joy. And then I see you smile, and the way you clap your hands. I take these signals, yeah.
Take these signals
as ones to understand. Oh, won't you help me understand?
help me under.
Little big brother, well, you took me by surprise. But now that I'm older, it's you on my shoulders, and I'll keep you safe tonight. Little big brother, you took me by surprise. Now that I'm older, it's you up on my shoulders, and oh, I'll keep you safe tonight. Oh, I'll keep you safe tonight. I keep you, oh, I keep you.
Oh, I'll keep you safe tonight.
I'll keep you safe tonight.
I'll keep you safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So for you who don't know, I'm going to contextualize direct provision and what direct provision is, really. So what is direct provision? Direct provision is a scheme that has been introduced in Ireland in November 1999 to accommodate asylum seekers in the state-designated accommodation centres. There were more than 150, almost 160 different direct provision centres. Most of them are situated out of the cities at the periphery of the society. And that decision significantly reduced their possibility for integration, leaving them to dwell in a ghettoized environment. Asylum seekers live in overcrowded, unhygienic conditions, with families often forced to share small rooms. The management controls their food intake, their movements, the supply of bed linen and cleaning materials, exerting their authority, power, and control. According to Ronit Lentin, direct provision centers are sites of deportability, which easily can construct their inmates or asylum seekers as deportable subjects, ready to be deported any time. And when I was talking about the ghettoized environment, the recent government decision to close 4 centers in Dublin and to close centers in cities is a deliberate narrative to put asylum seekers out of sight and out of mind. So, for example, asylum seekers are living in extremely remote areas like Lisdon Varna in County Clare, off Horse Leap in Westmeath, in places like Moville that are going to be hopefully welcomed soon there, and etc. So when I talk about asylum system or direct provision, deportations are a crucial aspect of it, and very few people, or you can very rarely hear that in the media. Just for an example, in 2016, 2017, 4,500 or so people have been actually deported or not allowed to come into the state, if you like. Deportations are becoming more and more and more increased. And you could maybe hear it in the media that the people who were actually born in Ireland because of the racist 2004 referendum, when 79, I believe, percent of population, Irish population voted, that children who were born in Ireland are not entitled to automatic citizenship. Okay, so that's something that we are facing as a consequence today. Okay, another aspect is, according to Free Legal Advice Centre, these privately owned centres, there are 3 state-run centres in Ireland. Most of them are privately owned. Okay, constitute a direct provision industry which makes a profit on the backs of asylum seekers. This is your money, this is my money, this is our money, this is taxpayers' money, and approximately 50 to 70 million has been spent yearly on running these centers, okay? And this is a huge amount of profit. And there was an article in Irish Times saying that these owners, like Bridgestock, like East Coast Catering, like Armark, don't even pay the taxes in Ireland. They have their offshore accounts of UK, in Channel Islands, etc. So, direct provision is a stain on our society, in my view, and in view of many other comrades and activists and academics, is a continuation of coercive confinement in Ireland. And we really well know that we had the history of Magdalene laundries, of mother and baby homes, of lunatic asylums, of industrial schools, etc. So the direct provision system is just a continuation of that confinement and that incarceration. So the last Magdalene laundry, I believe, closed in Sean McDermott Street in 1996. The first direct provision was opened in 1999. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. And as you can see in the book, really what I really want to do with Asylum Archive, and if we look into the history of those previous Irish carceral sites that I have just mentioned, we will see that there is a very little visual information about, let's say, industrial schools or Magdalene laundry. So what I really wanted, because I was an asylum seeker myself, I came here in 2006, I spent 3 years in direct provision, and what I really wanted to do is to document direct provision, to archive it, to preserve it, so we never forget. Okay? So at the moment, the Asylum Archive has almost 6,000 photographs. It has been done over the course of 12 years, and for those 12 years, 11 and a half years, I did all work without any funding, basically. So I think it's important to mention. Then suddenly I got the funding, and I was able to produce this book, okay? The book is really important because it features the essays on direct provision from Ronit Lentin, doctors Ronit Lentin, Charlotte McIver, Karen Till, and Almul Hall. It also has appendix of all direct provision centers at the back that ever exist in the history of the Irish state. It is really important because what are we facing in present Ireland is that erasure of the memory, okay? Because I think this is a very strongly neoliberal society, because what's happening that we forget that there were 55 centers in Dublin. Could you believe that? Since 1999? So they're all documented. And what happened is most of those centers have been transferred into the homeless shelters now, some of them into nursing homes, some of them were converted into the private properties, sold to different individuals, etc. But it's important to have a record, so as I said, we never forget the appalling way we treat people who come to Ireland to seek protection, okay? And Asylum Archive is an artist, activist, and academic platform that has in its inception to collaborate with asylum seekers, artists, activists, civil society, members of the civil society, etc., in the view to create online cross-platform resource which critically accounts the notion of exile, trauma, displacement, and memory. I think this is really important to mention. And it's not a singular art project. As you could see in the book, I wanted this to become not my archive or a singular art project, but our archive. So it's very much open for people who are still asylum seekers or people who have experienced direct provision to upload their visual material to the archive. And you can see in the book that there's 4 pages of the contributory aspect of Asylum Archive where people kind of took photographs from their centers where they're living, and that's part of the archive as well. And if you go to the website, asylumarchive.com, you will see it there. So what's the way forward, really? There is direct provision, and I disagree here, or we disagree in grassroots kind of movements with the NGOs that direct provision cannot be reformed. It has to be abolished completely. We are advocating on abolishment of direct provision, on ending of all deportations for the meaningful right to work. Can I just say something about the right to work? A grassroots organization called MASI, which is a movement of asylum seekers, has been doing tremendous work on lobbying and enabling asylum seekers to work. So that kind of somewhat came true, but it's really, really far from the real, meaningful, and ultimate right to work. So, for example, you have to wait 9 months before you're able to apply for the work permit. You are not allowed to work if your decision has been negative, if you have to appeal your claim. And just to remind you that 92 or 93% of asylum seekers get their status through appeals, okay? There is huge issues with opening the bank accounts because asylum seekers are not able to open the bank accounts. They're not able to apply for the driving licenses. They're really, really secluded and marginalized members of our community. And they're living among us. There is a center in Hutch Hall, which is not so far away from here. There is a center in Clondalkin, and there is a reception center in Balseskin. So I would suggest that if you want to get involved, to like Masi's to like them on social media. There is a fundraiser concert on the 21st in support of Masi in the Workmen's Club. Tickets are €10 only, €20 if you want to support someone from direct provision to come and to take part. Another kind of serious issues about direct provision is the mental health. As Ivan McCann from Global Rape Crisis Center have said in the interview I conducted some time ago, that the direct provision is reenactment of the abuse. So most of the people are fleeing conflict, tremendous situations. They're coming here with loads of kind of issues, loads of trauma, and then they're placed into these carceral sites up to 13 years. I have met people who are 13 years in the system with a deportation order. I think that's completely inhumane. And people are dying in direct provision. Since 1999, 71 persons have died in direct provision. What is really, really kind of problematic is, and it's very reminiscent of the mother and baby homes, is that we don't know the names of the people who have died, we don't know the burial place, and we don't know the causes of the deaths. No matter how much I've tried to contact Reception Integration Agency and to ask them for their information, they always referred me to the management of the centers. And of course, management don't keep that records. So it's really, really terrible. And I believe that my responsibility as mainly as an artist and then activist and then at the end academic is to speak the truth. And that's what James Baldwin in 1962 in his speech, The Moral Responsibility of the Artist, says that the artist has to speak the truth. So what is the truth? The truth, or my truth, was what I've seen with my tired, swollen eyes when I was suffering in direct provision centers. So my truth may be similar to your truth, and then we may share the same views. I think it's really important to, and I would like to thank Aidan and for inviting me here to speak about direct provision. I think it's something that is coming out from the kind of, it's coming out on the surface now more than ever, but I think it's a long way ago. We have a long way to go. The recent, kind of relatively recent statement from the Minister of Justice, Charlie Flanagan, is that he hasn't heard of any alternatives to direct provision, which is definitely not true. And I will remind you that people have been coming to Ireland before direct provision, and they were entitled to work, they were entitled to ask for help with the rent, ask with rent allowance and the social welfare until their claim has been processed. So what we are trying to say is to go back to pre-1999, to allow asylum seekers to come into the community, become the members of the community, and to kind of help each other. And I believe if we all open our hearts, open our minds, everyone is going to benefit. Thank you.